In the back row. One question that's sort of been niggling throughout the start of it, right from Stacey, your presentation at the beginning, you talked about tracing things through, but having to work within the role and the tools that were available, and Judge Liu made reference to working with the tools that were available. Where does it end? Where do you find that the tools aren't available to pursue your claims, and what tools would you like to see available that may not be available to you now to try to enforce your IP rights?
I guess from our perspective, it's just so easy to be anonymous online. And there are good reasons for having anonymity online. But it also prevents us from really being able to track down. The example I gave, no people ever meet in this whole transaction, right? Everything is done online. Everything is done by phone. You don't have anyone handing goods over to anybody. So the only thing that we have that we can follow through is the money. And the money always stops in places where we can't find out, we can't get the records, we can't find out about who is then accessing that money because of bank secrecy laws. And I think one thing that I would like to see is an expansion, whether it's through law enforcement or through the courts, of our ability to be able to get some of these records when needed. This would obviously need to be done through treaties and legislation. But I think that is the key. It's the concept of freeze it and they will come. If we can freeze those funds and find out who really is getting that money, then we will find out who's behind these organizations.
Well, following the money certainly seems to be an important aspect, both in terms of evidence gathering, but also hitting them where it hurts. As Agent Tarver was pointing out, you really got to get them, and a lot of the seizures there end up in financial as well. Part of the question, I guess, is how do you get some of that money back to the rights holder that's been suffering from all of this, that's spent millions of dollars in their investigation and ends up winning the battle but losing the war, and having a huge financial impact from successful prosecution, let alone an unsuccessful prosecution. I don't know if Matthew or Mark, you have any thoughts on how to get that money back in hand, whether it's better civilly, criminally. What are the best ways of trying to do that?
Well, I think the better way is if you can get a restitution award from the criminal process. Certainly in a civil case you can proceed to judgment and get a judgment. It may just be something you put on your refrigerator, though, because you may never be able to collect. But I think that brand owners need to be looking at winning the battle and winning the war through stopping the counterfeiters. I think that's far more important than actually recovering money at the end of the day. Naturally, it'd be nice to have the counterfeiters pay for the efforts, and I like the idea of going after a money judgment as well as restitution through the criminal process, if you can get it.
I had a case recently where we handed back the trademark holder $250,000. They were shocked. They were like, "Wow, we didn't know we were going to get this money back." They had spent about that on the on their private investigation for referral to the criminal case. Mark's exactly right. In a criminal case, but when I'm taking a guilty plea from somebody, or Judge Liu's taking a guilty plea, but I'm in court. A lot of times I'll connect it to a restitution. Restitution is mandatory. I have to give Judge Liu a pretty good excuse if we're not seeking restitution. The court will want to give restitution to the trademark holder. A lot of times it's very hard to decide who the trademark holder is. There are too many. You can't notify all these people, so the association will step in if it's pharmaceutical or if it's recording. But for the most part, there's a case that I have right now that involves a counterfeited product that's a personal hygiene product, and that company is going to see back money as well. The first part of it is, if this person wants to plead guilty, I'm going to say, okay, you're going to pay restitution and be prepared to pay restitution. Now, the exact figure, well, the company can claim that their losses were, one like Rockwell can claim $30 million in losses. Well, I'm looking at this guy who lives in a trailer. He's got barely a car. And I'm like, well, I don't think they can pay that. But whatever they can pay, and some counterfeiters are more sophisticated than others, we absolutely make them pay. And